Hello and welcome to the Summit Wrap Party. Hey, how you doing, everybody? It is day 4 and final of the Shared Space Summit, and we are here to celebrate what has been a massive week. This has been the largest online gathering of strata property owners and strata sector supporters the world has ever seen. We have had over 1,000 people attending our Shared Space Summit 2020. There we go, guys. The first and the biggest in the world, the largest online gathering of strata property owners in the world. I like that. Over the past 4 days, we have had access to 8 different summit sessions, hearing from experts around the world on many different topics, from the art of community to sustainable apartment living, to building defects, to virtual meetings, so much more. We have been here live each afternoon, debriefing, sharing our key takeaways, sharing our action steps, chatting to even more special guests that we have had here live. It has been an absolute whirlwind of a week. If I am honest, it has been a whirlwind of a few weeks over here at YSP headquarters. I am really thrilled to be relaxing with you here this afternoon, winding down, celebrating, having a little bit more fun while we wrap up the Shared Space Summit. And I can see lots of you coming in there, and we're getting some thumbs up, we're getting some love hearts. I love it, guys. Pop a comment down. Let me know that you're here. Say hey. Let me know if you have brought a little summit drink. If you are winding down with me on a Friday afternoon, we often do happy hour here on this page on a Friday afternoon. Your Strata Property Happy Hour, that started back in March, and look what went and happened. I ended up putting together a whole summit. Thank you, guys. That is you letting me know what you like, what you need, being here, supporting, and helping me to take this information and this knowledge and share it in a way that is helping as many people as possible. So thank you for your support here on Facebook in particular, my Facebook crew. Hey, Gary. Gary is here from Piedmont. This would not be a Friday happy hour, a Friday summit session without Gary here from Piedmont. It's so good to see you. Let me know who else is here, guys. What happens at the end of a conference? Well, we all get together and we all have a little drink and we all have a wrap up and talk about what we've learned and what we're taking back to our communities in particular when we're talking about the Shared Space Summit. I do want to say a little shout out. I'm not sure if he's here yet, but he will tell me. A shout out to Colin Campbell. Colin is the very experienced chairperson, committee member in a Sydney-based strata scheme, who was one of my special guests on Wednesday, here together with Elizabeth Huesler. And we were talking about key takeaways from the sessions earlier in the week. And I asked Colin to share his extensive expertise on being a chairperson. I asked him why he wanted to be a chairperson. He said some very, very heartfelt things about strata managers. And Colin, I didn't tell you this, but I put part of that onto LinkedIn, and that is doing the rounds and getting lots of support there and lots of thanks from our strata managers on LinkedIn. Here he is. Colin's relaxing with a wine. Where am I going with this? I'm saying thank you to Colin. He arranged for quite a few bottles of wine to be delivered to my front door last night. So he said that he would on the live, and he came through. Thank you, Colin. That was very kind of you. Colin is a vigneron in Napier, New Zealand. So hand-selected some very nice wines for me. And yes, Colin, I told you I would sample one last night. I did. I told my husband that was research. We had to do that so I could report back to you today on Facebook Live. Very nice. Thank you. A very nice Pinot Noir. So very generous of Colin. I have even more special guests lined up for you, and they have just heard me. They're in the virtual green room. They have just heard me thanking Colin, my previous special guest, for the wine. So hint, guys. No, of course not. We don't do that here. You know who they are. If you have received my email, if you have been having a look at this post, you'll know who my special guests are. I do have for you Tim, Sara, and Jimmy Thomson. I will be bringing them in very shortly. I would like to know if you caught any summit sessions today. Who has caught Sam Rees's session? Sam Rees from Australian Apartment Advocacy. Why we choose apartments. What are the reasons, guys? Did you pick up the location factor, the village atmosphere, the convenience, the transport, the walkability, all of those things Sam was talking about? Really great session to finish up on. Sam's really positive vibe. I always love hearing from her. Who was with me live on the webinar today, talking about how to fix broken communities? We had lots of fun on the webinar. There was music. There was dancing. Yes, there was. And the replay of that webinar is now over on the Summit event page. So those of you who are registered, I think most of you here watching are, you will be able to watch the replay of that webinar as well. So lovely to see you all coming in. I can see Frank is saying a big thank you to me, to the team, to the experts from here and afar, and all those who've made this week such an excellent, memorable, unique experience. Far exceeded his expectations. I'm slowing down because I'm realizing, look at this, guys. It only took me a week. I can put your comments up on the screen here. I forget to do that. My team reminds me and I forget. Thank you very much for those kind words, Frank. That's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to put the comments up on the screen. See how I go now that I've made that promise. There's Colin relaxing with the wine. Thank you, Colin. And Grant is saying a tremendous summit with really great pragmatic advice covering a plethora of subjects to uplift strata vertical village living. Love it, Grant. Nice one. Can I take that? I like that alliteration. Okay, I'm only 3 sips in and those words are still coming out just fine. We'll see how we go. Okay. Very good news announced today. Very exciting news. For those of you who were a little bit stressed that you didn't get to watch all of the summit sessions, I have decided that this weekend is Summit Encore Weekend. Yes, I have been receiving such great feedback from so many of you here on this page, in my inbox, sharing how much you're learning from our summit sessions, all the action that you're ready to take in your communities. I want to give as many of you as possible this weekend the time to catch up, enjoy as many sessions as you'd like. The Encore Weekend starts tonight. You will have access to every one of our summit sessions for 48 hours. That is until midnight, Australian Eastern Standard Time on Sunday, the 20th of September. So I got a lot, when I announced that on the webinar this morning, I got lots and lots of thank yous. Thank you, Amanda, was worried about that. I can see you there, Petra. Hi, good to see you. It will all go away on midnight, Sunday night, okay? I can't keep it open any longer than that. There will not be multiple encores, unless, of course, you are with us inside the membership. So all the summit sessions are going over to the members-only video library from next week, another job that my team has on their long list of jobs. The transcripts will be there for you too, members. We've been putting those together in the background. I will also be sending all of our members their Summit Souvenir Playbook. That is a collection of all the key takeaways from each of our summit guests, the action steps that you can be taking in your communities. Every one of my summit shifts that I've shared at the end of each of the interviews, this will be your record and your reference from the Shared Space Summit. It's a lot of S's, 2020. If you want to find out more about the membership and make sure you get your hands on the playbook, then stratamembership.com is the place to go. And Rochelle and Pia, who are here helping me in the background, we have Pia today. We don't usually have her on a Friday. We're very lucky. They're going to pop that one into the comments for me. Awesome. Okay, well, we are moving right along with our Friday wrap party. There's lots of you there. I'd love to see you. I'd love for you to say hi. Pop a hello for me in the comments. Let me know what sessions you've caught up to, what you're going to have a look at this weekend. Maybe you didn't get to. I would love to hear from you throughout the weekend as well, whether on email or here on the page, what you're enjoying, what your takeaways are. We are hanging on here for this Shared Space Summit. I have two special guests for you today, and I'm about to introduce our very first guest. His name is Tim Sara. Tim is the Associate Director for Strata Choice's head office branch in St. Leonard's. He has over a decade of experience in the strata management industry and has managed a range of different styles of clients across Sydney and in particular, the lower North Shore. Tim is recognised as a keen innovator with a focus on creating and adapting technological systems to create efficiency. Tim is also a driver of change, pushing for a unified industry-wide movement towards improved communication methods, both internally within companies and externally with clients and their suppliers. He is an excellent representative of and advocate for our industry. I am always so pleased to have him with me, whether it's on the podcast, whether it is on our live chats. Here is Tim Sara.
Hi, Amanda.
Hey, Tim.
Hi, everyone. What a week. What a week it has been.
It has been indeed a fantastic week. I will be recovering for a little while. Those of you who've been following some of the videos will see me gradually getting tighter and tighter, but all worth it. So much fun and so great to celebrate here with you today, Tim.
I know I was a little bit disappointed that you didn't introduce today's live like you did today's summit session. I'm expecting much more of the Tony Robbins style dancing.
It's
going
Tony
forward.
Robbins. Is it?
It's Tony Robbins. It's Tony Robbins. Yep.
I've been accused of worse. Okay. Yes, there was dancing on my summit session. If you haven't caught it, you want to check it out.
Highlight of the week.
I wanted music today, but I can't work out, and somebody out there can help me. I was too scared to ask my team because they've been so busy and they were flooded with so many other things today, how to get music on when I'm using StreamYard. So how do I stream music from my computer? It has to do with sharing screens and buttons and things like that. But yes, we'll work it out. 2021 Summit, more music.
Absolutely.
So, Tim, how have you enjoyed the summit? Which sessions have you caught, if any, or are you lining up for the replay weekend?
I think, look, going right back to the beginning, I thought Charles Vogel, building your trust bank before an incident occurs, not during, because let's face it, things can be perfectly fine in a strata scheme, then all of a sudden the whole world's turned on its head. And it's at that point in time that you need to have a wonderful community supporting one another. You're always, or maybe not always, but you're sometimes going to have the outliers that cause trouble. But it's those times that you need to come together as a community to support one another. So if you can do that before the incident, not during, then you're going to be in a good space. And otherwise, I really enjoyed Sam Reese's presentation as well, the summit session there. I think it just speaks so much to, especially what David Chandler's saying as well, that consumers really need to be aware of what they're getting themselves into. It's amazing the amount of research that people will do to buy a set of headphones or a car or a hairdryer or something like that. Yet when it comes to $1 million apartment, there's little to no research being done there. So those are my two sort of favorites, I think.
Yeah, excellent. I was thinking about you strata managers as well when I was listening to Kat Carmichael and talking about what's going on in the US with the strata management industry and how they were tapping into industries where there was a lot of unemployment, and hospitality was mentioned as one of those, and trying to attract some unemployed hospitality workers over to what they call community management and what we know as strata management. What do you think, Tim? Do you think we've got some out of work hospitality staff who might make good strata managers?
Well, I think, look, I know firsthand that right now in the industry, if you put an ad out for a strata manager, it's a tight industry at the moment. There's a lot of work going on out there, particularly as you've said throughout the week, people are doing, sorry about the sirens in the background, but people are doing renovations, everyone's moving to online meetings. There's a lot of work going on. So there's actually almost a shortage of strata managers. But then on the other hand, I'm so excited about the professional standard scheme that we're about to enter into, which is going to lift the threshold and the bar, because for so long you could be a strata manager just doing a 5-day course. I think that's now a 4-day course even, a certificate of registration, and bang, you're managing multi-million-dollar trust accounts. It's just ludicrous. So I think there's a lot to be said about bringing, people in, but also we need to make sure that the quality of the strata managers that we get, that we're not just bringing in, your average punter. You really do need experienced, qualified people, because at the end of the day, if we want proper leadership in the industry, then we need to have high caliber strata managers.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us about this professional standards scheme. Is that coming through SCA or I know I'm putting you on the spot, but I've had my head under a rock for a while here, as part of this summit. Can you fill us in on what's happening there?
Yeah, so basically, like, the SCA is working very hard at getting us to be a part of that professional standards scheme. You'd often see, and I mean, being a lawyer, you'd know this, Amanda, but you see, the phrase, that I think it's, this is protected by a professional standards scheme. I can't remember. It's been a long week.
Yeah.
But so that would mean that we are, part of a professional group, lawyers and accountants and that, where, again, the standards are just that much higher, and there's, I guess, more accountability as well for strata managers too. So that's in the works. In the background, SCA is pushing that, which is great.
Awesome. That is very good to hear. We'll have a closer look at that. I just want to acknowledge a few people who are coming in and saying hi. Nick is here on LinkedIn. How are you going, Nick? Good to see you. Michael is saying, hi, Amanda. I've been bombarded with actual day job work and strata work this entire week. So I appreciate being able to catch up with what's been happening on the weekend and reference back in the future. Excellent. Good to hear, Michael. Emiliana is ecstatic with the immense information she's gathered from the summit. Thank you very much, Emiliana. That is good to hear. And in addition to my Tony Robbins dancing, did you have any other takeaways from my session when it came to dysfunctional communities? I'm interested from the strata manager perspective, what you see on that side of things.
So I've personally been involved in a few compulsory appointments myself, and there's always this general kind of explanation given that, compulsory appointment is what happens when the owner's corporation is dysfunctional. But I think in your session, you very clearly articulated and given some, KPIs almost as to what exactly is dysfunction. It's, as you said, it's not just the fact that they're not repairing and maintaining common property. It's not a dysfunctional strata committee. It's multiple layers of dysfunction. And there are some key, underperformance indicators, I'd call them, to say that this is what, dysfunction looks like. So I think that was really well presented, and it was just great as a strata manager to go, okay, well, if we do have strata schemes that are dysfunctional, well, now I can actually sort of look at those key things rather than just saying, oh, it's just a basket case in general.
Yeah. Yeah. And they are very hard cases to tackle, both as a strata manager, as a lawyer, and of course as the owners who are living it, because it is a bit like that. It's just you're bombarded with information, with problems, with difficulty, and to be able to just take one step at a time to peel back the layers and work out the core of the problem. Is it actually numerous things, or is it a dysfunctional committee, and can we solve it there? Or is it a strata manager who's not quite sure how the legislation applies, and can we solve it there? So interesting to hear.
As a strata manager as well, I mean, we're often at the receiving end of the compulsory appointment. So part of the process is to get consent from the strata manager and then orders that the strata manager be appointed. We're never involved in setting that up. We can't be, because an owner's corporation can't, seek orders against itself for that. It's got to be an owner or somebody else that goes through that process. And at the end of it, we get this, compulsory appointment, and then we do what we do. Yeah.
I do have a question for you, Tim, about meetings that came through on the page a couple of days ago from Denise, and I flagged it to raise with you today, knowing that you were going to be here. And Denise was asking our thoughts, and I suggest strata managers' thoughts on hybrid, what Denise has called hybrid meetings. Now, are you running these meetings where you have some people are present in person, some people are present in some different form, whether it's on the phone or whether it is electronically. There is pre-meeting electronic voting as well as voting in person in meeting. How does all that work? And do you think that's a good idea?
Yeah, I had one just the other night, actually. I've had a couple of these. So there's a few moving parts to this. Okay, so one interesting thing that came up the other night was we had people that pre-meeting voted and then showed up to the meeting in person. So we had to make
To
sure
vote again?
that, yeah, I guess just to be a part of it.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, so and then we have people on Zoom, and I think one of them are pre-meeting voted as well. So you come to the meeting prepared with this tally of how many people have voted for and against. Well, immediately we had to readjust that tally to remove the votes from the people that had already voted beforehand, because they were showing up at the meeting and they were raising their hand and, potentially changing their decision. And so in my view, it was, if they're there in person and they want to vote, then a pre-meeting vote kind of gets, I guess, put aside for the actual vote. Much like if a proxy holder shows up and the owner votes, well, the owner's vote counts. So that took a bit of extra work. It was great though, because we had people from overseas who had never been to an AGM before, who were dialing in or videoing in from overseas, participating in the AGM for, the first time, I think forever, or maybe it's the first time in years. So they were able to participate as well. You've got to do a bit of juggling. So, if someone that's on the video wants to talk, then you have to be looking in the chat box there to see and unmute them, because I think there's a bit of an art to managing meetings through Zoom, because ultimately you don't want just everybody talking over each other, or someone's in the kitchen, in the background making food, and that's, coming in over the top. So, it's a bit of a skill that we've had to try and learn as strata managers, to not only just navigate the video meeting, but also be there in the room as well. There's a bit of work there. And if you've got someone that can support you in that,
Yes.
then that really helps. I did another meeting where one of the strata managers I work with, he was running the meeting and I was doing the video side of things. So I was unmuting people and highlighting the comments. So a bit of teamwork that went on there. So, it's not impossible. It certainly can work. The pre-meeting voting was great for those that just weren't comfortable showing up in person and maybe couldn't vote online. Vote through a video. Maybe that work or something. The people that came, could actually talk with each other in the room, and then the people that came in from overseas. So we had more engagement than ever. It was these have been great meetings. I've done a few of them now. So.
Okay. Interesting to hear. So it sounds to me like it's all in the management, and having extra hands definitely makes it easier. I know that for sure from my own experience doing large webinars and running this summit and doing these live events. I have 2 team members generally always in the background. We have a run sheet, we have a chat box, we have a number of things going on. And that's why when you watch me live and you see my eyes darting around the screen, there's about 4 windows open here. It's tough. And it's a part of the brain. Dr. Alex Morris talked about this in her summit session, and that's where this conversation is coming from. It's a part of the brain that or parts of the brain that we haven't had to use in this way before. We've got all these different streams of information coming at us at once. And I agree completely. If you don't have that support team there, it's really hard to have any success with that process.
Absolutely.
Hey, Melissa, I can see you there saying hi. If you're coming on in, feel free to pop us a hello there in the comments. Let us know what you're up to. Are you having a Friday afternoon drink? Are we still doing virtual drinks? Are people out in the world? You're a young person out in the world, Tim, I imagine. Do you do drinks? Like, is that a thing?
I'm not out in the world. Oh, look, I've still gone. I'm actually 8 months into a 12-month alcohol-free challenge, so I haven't.
Wow!
Done
Here
a
I
lot of
am
that
inviting
now.
you to happy hour.
So no, I've got my coffee. It's okay. No, but we still, go to the pub occasionally and have a meal and that. But I remember very early into all of this when we were much more restricted, and I think everyone was at home, and you had to have a good reason to go out in public. We did Friday night trivias, and one of my friends set up like a a PowerPoint presentation, and she had all these questions, and then you'd answer the questions through Google Sheets, and yeah, it was pretty fun actually.
Cool.
But no, now we can actually go out like normal people. So good thing
We
we're not in
can where
Melbourne.
we are. Yes, lucky too. Awesome. All right. Well, I am going to pop you back in the virtual green room, but if you don't mind, don't go anywhere because I may bring you back, and we can keep this party rolling. I am going to thank you very much, Tim, for joining us, and I'll see you in a bit. Awesome. Tim Sara, Associate Director at Strata Choice at their St. Leonard's branch. Always great to chat to. We are welcoming in our next guest, and I think you might know who he is. You may have heard his name before, may have heard his voice before, may have read his words before. Jimmy Thomson. Jimmy Thomson runs the apartment living comment, news, and advice website, Flat Chat. He is the author of 15 published books. He writes a weekly column in the Australian Financial Review and is a frequent guest on radio and TV. And he hosts and produces his own podcast. He is also a travel writer, an occasional tour guide, maybe past life, and edits the travel website mildrover.com.au. We've got to talk about that, Jimmy. Jimmy has worked as a TV scriptwriter in Australia and Los Angeles, having created 3 successful TV drama series. As a comedy writer, he's been nominated 3 times for the Australian Writers Guild Sitcom Awards. He holds an MA in writing from Swinburne University and teaches Australian literature at Boston University's Study Abroad program here in Sydney. His great passions are American politics, Vietnam, and Glasgow. Oh, Jimmy, I'm going to do it again. Celtic. Yes? Yes, Celtic Football Club. I'm going to bring him on before I do any more damage. He is Jimmy Thomson.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good. I was going to just go very still so that you would be going, Jimmy, are you there? Are you there? But what do they call that? The Skype freeze. That's how to get out of a Skype online meeting. You just sit very still.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, he's up. He's gone.
Too bad it's a strata meeting, though. You're stuck there for 4 hours.
Do it at the end rather than beginning, is my advice. So well done, Amanda. Congratulations on this epic effort of yours. But I have some bad news for you. It's not enough. Next year,
yes,
we want to do the conference, the National Strata Conference here in Sydney.
Yes. Oh, you are actually freezing now.
The Skype freeze. All right.
Go on.
So, yeah. So remember we all used to go up to Griffiths on the Gold Coast?
Oh, yeah.
And that kind of fizzled out. And it was all about...
I can tell you something funny along those lines. On Tuesday, I sit on the council of the Australian College of Strata Lawyers, and we have a conference planned for April next year here in Sydney. And we conference, around different cities each year. And Sydney, it's our turn. It has all been booked in. And now the conference committee is talking about maybe we should have a backup plan. Maybe we should think about delivering this online. I couldn't attend the council meeting on Tuesday because I was running this summit. And I got the minutes of the meeting. And the minutes of the meeting said, Amanda Farmer to be invited to speak to the conference committee about assisting with the preparation of an online conference. And I said to the council, is this what happens? I can't attend the council meeting because I'm running an online conference, only to be roped in to assisting with the running of a future online conference. That'll teach me.
There you go. But I think it's great that you've taken the whole strata thing and pulled the strands apart and then kind of gone up to a higher level where we're not just dealing with, although you did today in the webinar about the nitty gritty of trying to get a compulsory strata manager or not, but actually to be able to step back and look at the thing more in a more philosophical or cultural way. I think that's really interesting. And I have to admit, I'm going to be catching up this weekend. In fact, depending on how much gin I drink now, I might even log into some of the sessions this evening. But I think having the encore session is a really, really good idea, and I will be sending my readers, and I suspect we have overlap. I think our Venn diagrams intersect.
Definitely, yeah.
But I will be sending them to that session that you did today, because
Awesome. Thank you.
people are constant. We've got a big discussion going on at the moment where people are saying, "I'm so sick of our committee. I'm going to get a compulsory strata manager," and I'm going, and lots of people are just piling in and going, "No, no, 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 wait, wait, wait. Be very, very careful."
Yeah, well, I called it. I questioned whether it was the COVID effect, because I'm seeing more and more of it. It could just be the circles that I'm running in at the moment. More and more people.
Venn diagrams are being created.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think more people at home, the problems are enhanced. We're seeing these problems firsthand every day, and we have a different perspective on them. And really, that's part of what inspired me to put the summit together and to invite the kinds of guests that I did, was to think, well, there's something that's not working about the way we're doing things and the way we have been doing things. Let's take a different view, a different perspective, hear from different people, and see if we can have some light bulb moments. So I think that's been achieved for people here this week.
But I think people who live in strata, it's like people who own cars. You're only interested in how your car works when it goes, and but then that's changing now, because we've got different kinds of cars, and people are going, well, should I have an electric car or a hybrid car or something like that? And I think that's happening in strata now. People are going, well, what do we actually want our strata scheme to do, and how do we want the people who are supposed to be looking after us to deal with that? And I mean, the obvious thing is the tribunals. They're really falling into disrepute at the moment, largely thanks to me running pictures of tribunal members with clown noses on. It's but and as the example being the recent pet thing, where two different people went to the tribunal, said, I think the pet bylaws are unfair and unconscionable and harsh and all those other things. And two tribunal members said, yes, you're right, the pet bylaws cannot stand. And then the appeals board says, no, they're fine. They do stand. And now the people involved are literally hundreds of thousands of dollars out of pocket on both sides, trying to, because somebody at the tribunal has decided that they're going to reinterpret strata law. And I think that's a huge problem.
Yeah, is it reinterpret, or is it actually try to interpret? That's always been a difficulty with our strata law. It is that the Cooper case, at least, is now before the Court of Appeal here in New South Wales, and I understand that hearing is scheduled for next week. So it will be very interesting to hear what the highest court in our state has to say about harsh, unconscionable or oppressive bylaws, and whether they extend to pet bans.
Well, that whole question of a bylaw being harsh and unconscionable, and as I've said many times, I don't have a dog in this fight, but the idea that somebody could go along and say, I am feeling oppressed, I'm being treated harshly because I'm not allowed to do something that I want to do that doesn't affect somebody else very much, then you're pretty much throwing out the whole bylaw thing. It's just like, these rules have no status at all, which would be awful.
Yeah, and I don't. My personal view is that that's not the impact of the current argument about pets. Look, as an officer of the court, I'll be careful what I say before the Court of Appeal comes out with its decision. But I am watching it closely, and I do know there are quite polarized views on both sides, and there can be quite extreme views on both sides. It is an emotional issue, and as a hands up pet lover and pet advocate in strata, I understand the emotion that's in it. Yeah,
I mean, we. Oh, by the way, you were talking to Tim about the professionalization of strata management. Well, if I may plug my own podcast briefly,
of course,
we had Chris Duggan, on the podcast this week, talking at great length about what their plans are to professionalize.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. We will find a link to that, and we will, well, you can give me a link to that. I don't even have to go searching, and we'll pop it here in the comments so that our viewers can catch up on that as well.
Great. Yeah, because it was very interesting. I mean, it's, you know, I remember when I started writing about apartments and strata managers were the enemy. That plain and simple. Everybody who lived in strata, the number one enemy, if it wasn't the committee, it was the strata manager, and usually it was both. And watching how strata managers have evolved, or many of them have evolved, and SCA in New South Wales, and I want to be very specific about this, SCA in New South Wales has evolved tremendously, and they really are trying to be a professional body. I can't speak for anywhere else in the country, but it's such a contrast from how it used to be. I mean, the strata manager basically was somebody you didn't want to have to deal with, and that's changed.
And I think that's a sign of the increasing sophistication of our communities as well. And as you were saying earlier, Jimmy, all of the things now that you can do to improve your community, to add value, you need to be working hand in hand with an experienced, qualified professional who can help you through all of that. And communities recognizing that and then voting with their feet, really, being willing to pay more to get more. And good strata managers being very busy, that being recognized by other less good strata managers, perhaps in lifting the standard. There's a benefit there for everybody. Now, I want to ask, go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Thank you, as you should. I'm going to ask you, Jimmy, shortly about I'm going to get this right, your podcom. Okay, I'm going to come back to you. Before we get into that, I want to say hi and acknowledge a few people here who are posting comments on the page. Colin is saying, hi, Tim. Is it not amazing that all of a sudden we have major engagement? In the past, have we worked a system that often isolated owners? Yeah, indeed, having the rise of the virtual. Amy is here watching from LinkedIn. Hi, Amanda. Thanks for putting this amazing summit together. I've been tuning in during breaks and have found that there's been a wealth of valuable information along the way. Looking forward to catching up on sessions over the weekend. Yes, indeed. If you haven't heard yet, we are having an encore weekend. If you're registered for the summit, you will have the details, all the details about that to access your encore weekend. And Elizabeth is here saying hi, Jimmy.
Hello, Elizabeth.
Now, Jimmy, not just a podcast, a podcom you have now. Can you tell us about the podcom?
Okay. With the help of financial assistance from City of Sydney Council, I should get that right. Basically, we got a grant because all these actors, and I know a lot of actors and writers from my other lives, sitting at home. I've had this idea that if Australian television still made situation comedy, a strata committee would be the perfect setting. Yeah. I mean, the fundamentals of situation comedy are you get a bunch of people who, under normal circumstances, would not spend a moment more than they had to in each other's company, and you force them to stay together. That's the basis of most of the situation comedies that have ever been made anywhere in the world. And a strata committee is a perfect example of this. And I thought I wanted to write something for television years ago. And, you know, people were saying, yeah, nobody lives in apartments. You know, nobody cares. This came up. Everybody's stuck at home. People are having to have meetings on Zoom. So we came up with this idea of a sitcom where a committee is trying to deal with having to meet on Zoom and deal with problems in their building, including somebody who's being driven mad by constant tapping, and somebody who wants to turn their little commercial space into a day spa.
Oh, one of those day spas.
Well, that's a matter of some conjecture. The tapping allowed us to, actually, it was inspired by Todd McKenney, who saw my call out for performers. I said, hey, can I be part of this? So cool. He's very thinly disguised as a character called Ted McConney. So
Right.
That was his suggestion. Apparently, that was his nickname at school because the headmaster announced, "Can I see Ted McConney in my office?" Over the sound system. So anyway, so they're dealing with this, but at the same time, when they were passing the bylaw that, as we had to do a few months ago, passing a bylaw that allowed them to have meetings on internet, on Zoom. They accidentally passed a bylaw that said they must have meetings on Zoom. So and we have a hapless secretary who doesn't. If anybody says, "Why did you do this?" she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, you're breaking up." So I created this thing. We got actors in. We connected and performed and rehearsed on Zoom, and then something weird happened because the sound quality just couldn't match. So we got everybody to record their individual bits on their phones, and then we knitted it all together. And then we realized the sound was too good, so we had to spend hours. We literally spent about 10 hours treating the sound so that everybody sounded like they were in an echoey room, or stuff like that. And it's a lot of fun. It's quite funny, I believe.
I'm seeing Rochelle and Pia have posted a link, which looks rather overwhelming on my side. I'm not sure if that's coming through on the other side. A link to listen to Hyperbole Towers, the audio strata sitcom.
And I'm just looking forward to the day when somebody says, "What's this word hyperbole?" And somebody says, "It means an exaggeration." Okay, we're going to call our building that.
Oh, please. I hope somebody does. Oh, well, all good fun, Jimmy. Thank you for so many years now. You have been entertaining us, strata owners, strata dwellers, those in the sector. We are very lucky to have you. I am very tempted. I think I'm actually going to do it. I know I'm going to regret it, to bring Tim back on and have the three of us here. Let's see how we go. If you're ready there, Tim, I'm going to bring you back in. There he is.
Why would you regret bringing me back in? What a horrible thing to say.
Because you make me
I'll just go.
It's you two. Look at me the right way. It's you two I'm worried about together.
Well, Tim is the second highest listened to person on my regular podcast, and that goes back several months. We had a long chat. I can't remember. There's something outrageous. There's an outrageous story that you told, and I've been racking my brain to try and remember what it is. But it is still the second most listened to podcast. And every week it ticks over a few more.
Well, I'll give you a hint. The name of the podcast was "Silly Bylaws to Orgies."
Right.
This is why. Okay.
Yeah.
Do we want to retell that story? Or
yeah, go ahead.
Go and listen to the podcast. Give it a few more views, because then it'll go up to number one.
Oh, who is number one?
It's never going to catch up with the number one podcast, which is simply headlined "Nasty Lawyers."
And do you have a guest on that podcast, Jimmy, or is that just you?
That one, I have the amazing Sue Williams on that. But,
oh, good.
Yeah.
Is she talking some sense to you?
Well, she tries. She's been trying.
Yes.
Yeah. But
I know she does.
A few bits get through.
Okay, well, we will find Tim's episode on your podcast, Jimmy, and put a link here, because now everybody's on the edge of their seats. Bylaws to Orgies. We need to find out exactly what that's all about. Thank you, Tim, Sara. And Tim, when's your podcast starting?
Oh, well,
the odd one out
I just
now.
live vicariously through you both.
Yeah. The man can't drink for 4 months. Give him a break. How can he do a podcast if he can't drink?
That's true, actually.
I don't have the energy for that. It's a lot of work that you guys do. I'll give you that.
Well,
we're not strata managers, so we've got some time.
We don't have proper
jobs. Fair enough.
Oh, okay. Well, look, I brought you both on here to entertain everybody. We have lots of people tuning in. If you have ever wanted to ask Jimmy Thomson and Tim Sara a question, I've got them here together. They actually can't move off these spots unless I press some buttons here. Jimmy's going to do the pretend Zoom freeze. So I think that we've lost connection there.
That's actually pretty good.
That is actually pretty good.
I'll tell you a good story. Actually, I've just recently moved into a new building. I lived in a lovely building 2 blocks away, and then we moved 2 blocks away, taking advantage of low rents. And the first thing that I noticed when I went into this building is that they've got signs, like little laminated signs everywhere. Oh, he's actually gone. There you go.
You never know, guys. Live video.
See you, Jimmy.
He'll be back. I'll bring him back, maybe.
So I thought you'd get a kick out of this. There's actual laminated signs in the building, and it talks about breach of bylaws, and they're fair enough things. Don't smoke on the balconies because they've got winter garden type setup, and they've also got cladding on the outside of the building, so definitely you don't want people smoking in there. But no barbecues. What else? No throwing rubbish over. You've got to book the lift when you want to move it in. All fairly reasonable things. But then at the bottom of the sign, it says, if you don't comply with these bylaws, you will either get a fine or a jail term.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Straight to jail. That's it. You
do not pass go.
Yep. Do not pass go. You throw one cigarette up, you're going straight to jail. And it's a fine or a jail term. So I thought, oh, if it's going to be one of the two, I'd probably take the fine. Personally.
How old is this building? How old was they? Sort of the old crumply brown bylaws on the notice board. They've been there for a few centuries.
Nope, this building's about 1.5 years old. So new committee, I'm guessing probably new to strata maybe. But I just thought that was, it's such a good example of some strata committees that have this kind of, this kind of ego about it. But,
well, yeah. I mean, if you're going to pursue someone for a bylaw breach, you're going to go to the tribunal. You're going to get an order. When they fix up the New South Wales legislation, you're going to be able to enforce the order. Still no compliance, contempt. Maybe at the end of the line, you might end up serving some time. Skip to that. Yeah, put a bit of pressure on. Make people feel a bit nervous about breaching the bylaws.
That's it. Well, and I mean, look, that goes back years. I mean, there was always, strata schemes that would say, if you don't give access for your fire safety inspections, then we'll give you a fine. I mean, realistically, that was very unlikely to happen, but it always kind of got a bit of response. But I thought, going back to the summit sessions, it's just not the right way to build a community. Creating an iron fist situation where everyone's afraid of what might happen. It's I guess it works sometimes, but
so are you managing this building now?
No, God, no. I would never manage a building where I live ever.
Oh, this is one you were living in.
Yeah, no. This is where I live now. This is where I moved to like a few weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And do you? Oh, this is fascinating. And do you get involved as a strata manager living in a strata building?
Look, we moved here. This is getting a bit personal, but we moved here and we're looking to buy elsewhere. So it's a very short-term situation.
Yep.
If I was going to stay long-term, maybe. But all I'd be is a tenant representative anyway, which it doesn't really have a lot of power, as we know. But look, I'm not looking to get too involved if I'm moving on. So,
because I'm very much involved where I live in an owner capacity though, and my team in the office often accuses me of knocking off work to lay bricks. And what's wrong with you, Amanda? you unwell? Why would you want to do these things? Particularly when there's a problem, when there's litigation that's going on, or where there's a major project. And we're not just talking about day-to-day things. We're talking about really getting down there in the trenches and having to brief lawyers and do all of those things that I often get paid to do. And when you're at home, you don't get paid for it. However, I do practice what I preach, and this is all about investing in the community. And it's saying, we live here, I have a young family, we're planning to stay here for quite some time, school's here, we've built our life here, and we want to make sure that we're investing in our property. And if that means that there is some tidying up to do that the community will be assisted by, if I'm there to do it, so that we can then get a few fires out of the way and then get on with the nice to do things, then why wouldn't you do that, really? I'm also a person who finds it hard to sit back and watch others get it wrong.
Well, there's that too. But I think you're right. If you're going to live somewhere long term, why wouldn't you invest in making that a community? Why wouldn't you spend a bit of extra time up front to make sure that things are working well, so that at the end of the day, it's a nice place to be. You know, that's what you want.
He's alive.
Hello.
Hello.
My computer just completely died on me. Just went the blue screen of death.
Are you serious? You totally jinxed yourself.
Yeah.
You know, there's comments here. There's comments here saying, Jimmy, we can still see you breathing. We know you're. Tim and I were saying, we know you're faking. Come on.
Yeah. No, I wish I was that good an actor. No, it's just like this horrible blue screen and one of those things that you let you into pubs and you know the barcode square thing and call this number and
you're in trouble.
And then I thought, hey, I've got a laptop.
And so, now you're a DJ.
Here I am.
He's freezing again.
Sorry?
Now you're a DJ.
I'm a DJ, yeah. You will see me bopping down the street with this on. Just
Friday afternoon.
Doing my dad dancing at bus stops.
And I'm looking at my comments down the right-hand side of my screen here, and the word orgies just jumped out at me. My team has just posted Tim's podcast episode on Jimmy's show. Silly bylaws to sex orgies. A strata manager reveals all. God, someone knows how to write copy. That's bloody good copy, they say.
Thank you very much. Not so good with working computers.
You hear, Jimmy, you hear. But, you know, we don't have anything else to talk about with you, so thanks for coming back.
All right.
Hey, Jared, saying congrats on the summit. Thank you. Glad that you enjoyed it. What's the plan for the weekend, guys? Are you actually watching some summit sessions or doing something else interesting?
Yeah, for sure. I've left my notebook over there. I'll be back in a second.
Careful, don't break anything.
Here I am. Charles Vogel,
yes,
Alex Morris, and David Chandler. Those three, I mean, they're all obviously interesting, but those three are the ones that get. Geez, this camera makes me look very red, doesn't it?
That's the gin, Jimmy. The gin.
Okay. Remember not to drink when I'm using this laptop. That's my rule for the future.
Have you interviewed David Chandler? Has he been on your podcast? No,
he hasn't been on the podcast, but I've interviewed him personally, and he promised to come on the podcast. And he seems to be quite busy. Yes, I believe.
A few things on his plate.
Have you? He's been on yours though. I mean, he did the special session.
Yes, so the summit was the first time I chatted to him, and that took quite a while to lock down. So I was even reluctant when it came to announce it before it was locked in. He is a hard man to get a hold of, but I'm very glad that we did. It's a good session.
Well, we had Karen Stiles is also on the podcast this week. Yeah, and she was talking about. She spent her whole time talking about David Chandler and the stuff he's doing, and the stuff I didn't know that he is. If you've got a building that's less than 6 years old and you've got defects and your developer isn't doing anything, call Fair Trading. They will send somebody in to investigate. What a huge difference that makes for people. Yeah, it's like you go to Fair Trading and they will say, well, we can all sit around and have a chat about it, or you can spend half your budget on lawyers and with no guarantee of result.
Well, definitely check out the summit session because David gets into that, and he also has quite a bit to say about lawyers.
Really? Is he a fan? Right. No.
just this one. But I'm always saying, I don't do defects. It's not me.
All right. Yeah. It's a lot of things he's not a fan of, actually, that surprised me.
Yeah.
He's not a big fan of strata loans.
Interesting.
Which I think is a great thing. I think it's a great thing. Yes. I think, especially for people where you've got, cashed up rich people like us, who say, let's finance this thing, this special levy, let's just pay it. And there are other people saying, there's no way I can afford that. Yeah. And the problem, I think, is that you can't have half of one and half of the other, which would be sensible, far too sensible and logical for strata.
Yes, that is a problem. And I have seen communities struggle with that. It's either, and people who want to pay back early and save themselves the interest, that doesn't work, that we don't have provision for that in our legislation. But I agree, there's definitely a place for strata loans, a time and a place. And it would be remiss of me if I didn't mention that Lanark Strata Finance are one of our summit supporters for this year, who have been helping us to spread the word of the summit to as many people as possible. We don't take financial support, but we've definitely had a handful of supporters who I will wrap up with thanking, who have helped us reach more than 1,000 people for the summit.
Yeah, well done. Well done on that.
Thank you. Colin is saying, Jimmy, blue screen or blue gin, same result. Oh, and it was New Zealand gin. Did we mention? Because Colin's
that's why my face is red. That's why my face is red. If it was my usual Japanese gin, I would be somewhere between your two complexions.
You would be fine. Yes. Okay. Blame it on the Kiwis. Petra's saying, I'm glad too. David made a great contribution with his information. Yeah, great session if anyone hasn't caught it. Well, I am going to say thank you very much to my special guests, Tim, Sara, Jimmy Thomson, who's just come back in as Jimmy, not Jimmy Thomson.
I was in a rush. I typed that in.
Thanks for coming back. I wasn't sure if you were going to come back, so I'm done for the afternoon.
Well, you know, an old pro, the show must go on.
Exactly. Thank you, gentlemen. Enjoy your weekend. Catch up on some summit sessions. And we will be back on a live sometime soon, I am sure.
Absolutely.
Right. See you, Tim. See you, Amanda.
See you, bye.
Bye-bye.
Tim, Sara, Jimmy Thomson, if you've only caught some of that, go back, guys. Once this publishes, the replay will be on LinkedIn, it will be on Facebook, and make sure you catch it all. It is Summit Encore Weekend. If you have not caught all of the summit sessions, you have until midnight Sunday night to go and check them out before I put them behind the membership doors. I would love to have you with us as part of our online membership community, so I can keep supporting you to put in place what we've learned from the summit to take action in our communities. I have a few personal thank yous that I would like to give here as we wrap up our summit. I have been ably supported by my team. I have a small team that does a whole load of work here behind the scenes. I want to thank the lovely Rochelle, who so many of our members know. She's on email with them at all hours of the day and night. Very much supported by Rochelle in putting this summit together, as I have been for many years with our online community. I want to thank Pia as well, who works together with Rochelle, keeping everything under control in the background. This is the first time that we have put on this summit. It is the first of its kind in the world. There are other people out there who are doing online summits with big teams, with a lot of money, with some experience, with professionals. We are just patching it together here, guys, doing our best. And Rochelle and Pia have done so well. And I want to thank you, a special thank you to both of you. I want to thank Francis, who is working with Rochelle and putting together all of our videos. Francis is a video editor. He has, again, working at all hours, often at the last minute, patching things together, getting them just right, my very demanding requirements. Thank you very much, Francis, for all of your work. My team here in Sydney, I have Michelle Saunders and Michelle Zhu here in Sydney with me. They have been holding the fort generally of the legal practice while I do things like this. They've been manning the phones for those of you who ring up and need support. Michelle and Michelle, they are often interchangeable, picking up where the other one left off and mistaken for each other. But I'm very lucky to have my Michelles. And I want to acknowledge my web developer, Jake, I have called him my savior and my hero a few times in the last couple of weeks, who has put our site back together when it's needed to be back together. Thank you, Jake. And thank you, Tanya, to our designer, who has put together our logo, does such beautiful work, always making us look very professional and stand out. That is Tanya's very, very good work. And what I want to point out is that we are all in different places We have never been, we haven't been in the last few weeks, I think, in the same room at the same time working on this summit. We have put this summit together from all different places across the world and across the country. So that is just a testament to what can be achieved by our technology these days, the modern day. And if you want to do something, guys, you want to put it out there. It's a bit different. It's a bit creative. No one's ever done it before. You can do it if you have the right people around you, if you believe in what you're doing, and if you love what you're doing. That's really what has got me up the early mornings the last few months and the late nights. Thank you very much to everybody who has registered for the summit, who has been here on the live, supporting us, giving us your summit takeaways, letting us know what you're doing in your communities. I love hearing all of that. I have some beautiful emails in my inbox. Thank you so much for letting me know what you're taking away and how much you've enjoyed this. It's what drives me to keep going. And we'll be back in 2021 for the Shared Space Summit. I especially want to thank our official summit supporters, the City of Sydney Council, Look Up Strata, Lanark Strata Finance, Smarter Communities, and Strata Community Insurance. These are all people who have helped us spread the word about the summit to well over 1,000 people. That was a big, audacious goal of ours, that we could possibly reach that many people with our summit, and we have achieved it. Thanks so much to those supporters sharing this information with their networks and with their clients and their contacts. So I'm sending you out into the world, closing off the Shared Space Summit. Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy your encore weekend. We got 2 more days. I will be in your inboxes just reminding you what is going on. Don't miss out on getting your hands on these sessions, your eyes and your ears on these sessions. And we'll be back here live on this page. We like doing a bit of live. I like bringing you special guests. The podcast will go on. I don't want to wrap up, guys. Mwah. Have a lovely weekend.